We have become very tolerant of gender-based violence. I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
I lost my mom in 2015. She was also raped. So it felt like it is my duty to fight for her more than to fight for what happened to me. So it was a must for me to speak out.
Universities and technical colleges must not mimic what is happening in society. So I, as a Vice-Chancellor, should not be comfortable that rape culture, gender-based violence, femicide is expressed within the university. I should find management systems where we hold each other accountable.
Well, you know, there's a stigma attached to violence generally. We know that there are many that don't come forward, partly because of the stories we heard from the survivors who come forward and not treated well by the police and end up feeling, what's the point? So that's the price we pay as society. You know, when we hide things, when we conceal matters, we don't deal with the issue.
GBV is not a linear pandemic. It's not like any other disease where we have treatments very clear. We can create a vaccine or we can have a medication that we can try to cure an individual. One of the ways to fight this is building a good citizen.
For me, I think it's important to know about the current bills that have been passed into laws. Let's make sure that those bills, those laws, those policies are understood by people. So let's popularize them and translate it into all 12, indigenous languages, including sign language.
We have become very tolerant of gender-based violence. I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
I lost my mom in 2015. She was also raped. So it felt like it is my duty to fight for her more than to fight for what happened to me. So it was a must for me to speak out.
Universities and technical colleges must not mimic what is happening in society. So I, as a Vice-Chancellor, should not be comfortable that rape culture, gender-based violence, femicide is expressed within the university. I should find management systems where we hold each other accountable.
you know, there's a stigma attached to violence generally. We know that there are many that don't come forward, partly because of the stories we heard from the survivors who come forward and not treated well by the police and end up feeling, what's the point? So that's the price we pay as society. You know, when we hide things, when we conceal matters, we don't deal with the issue.
GBV is not a linear pandemic. It's not like any other disease where we have treatments very clear. We can create a vaccine or we can have a medication that we can try to cure an individual. One of the ways to fight this is building a good citizen.
For me, I think it's important to know about the current bills that have been passed into laws. Let's make sure that those bills, those laws, those policies are understood by people. So let's popularize them and translate it into all 12, indigenous languages, including sign language.
We have become very tolerant of gender-based violence. I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
I lost my mom in 2015. She was also raped. So it felt like it is my duty to fight for her more than to fight for what happened to me. So it was a must for me to speak out.
Universities and technical colleges must not mimic what is happening in society. So I, as a Vice-Chancellor, should not be comfortable that rape culture, gender-based violence, femicide is expressed within the university. I should find management systems where we hold each other accountable.
Well, you know, there's a stigma attached to violence generally. We know that there are many that don't come forward, partly because of the stories we heard from the survivors who come forward and not treated well by the police and end up feeling, what's the point? So that's the price we pay as society. You know, when we hide things, when we conceal matters, we don't deal with the issue.
GBV is not a linear pandemic. It's not like any other disease where we have treatments very clear. We can create a vaccine or we can have a medication that we can try to cure an individual. One of the ways to fight this is building a good citizen.
For me, I think it's important to know about the current bills that have been passed into laws. Let's make sure that those bills, those laws, those policies are understood by people. So let's popularize them and translate it into all 12, indigenous languages, including sign language.
We have become very tolerant of gender-based violence. I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
I lost my mom in 2015. She was also raped. So it felt like it is my duty to fight for her more than to fight for what happened to me. So it was a must for me to speak out.
Universities and technical colleges must not mimic what is happening in society. So I, as a Vice-Chancellor, should not be comfortable that rape culture, gender-based violence, femicide is expressed within their university. I should find management systems where we hold each other accountable.
Well, there's a stigma attached to violence generally. We know that there are many that don't come forward, partly because of the stories we heard from the survivors who come forward and not treated well by the police and end up feeling, what's the point? So that's the price we pay as society. When we hide things, when we conceal matters, we don't deal with the issue.
GBV is not a linear pandemic. It's not like any other disease where we have treatments very clear. We can create a vaccine or we can have a medication that we can try to cure an individual. One of the ways to fight this is building a good citizen.
For me, I think it's important to know about the current bills that have been passed into laws. Let's make sure that those bills, those laws, those policies are understood by people. So let's popularize them and translate it into all 12, indigenous languages, including sign language.
We have become very tolerant of gender-based violence. I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
I lost my mom in 2015. She was also raped. So it felt like it is my duty to fight for her more than to fight for what happened to me. So it was a must for me to speak out.
Universities and technical colleges must not mimic what is happening in society. So I, as a Vice-Chancellor, should not be comfortable that rape culture, gender-based violence, femicide is expressed within their university. I should find management systems where we hold each other accountable.
Well, there's a stigma attached to violence generally. We know that there are many that don't come forward, partly because of the stories we heard from the survivors who come forward and not treated well by the police and end up feeling, what's the point? So that's the price we pay as society. When we hide things, when we conceal matters, we don't deal with the issue.
GBV is not a linear pandemic. It's not like any other disease where we have treatments very clear. We can create a vaccine or we can have a medication that we can try to cure an individual. One of the ways to fight this is building a good citizen.
For me, I think it's important to know about the current bills that have been passed into laws. Let's make sure that those bills, those laws, those policies are understood by people. So let's popularize them and translate it into all 12, indigenous languages, including sign language.
We have become very tolerant of gender-based violence. I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
A very good morning to all of you, and if we could all just settle down. Thank you so much for coming out this morning. Just going to wait for the doors to be closed, then we'll settle down and get the program underway. Well, good morning once again, everybody. My name is Sakina Kamwendo. I host a show called Update at Noon on SAFM. That's between 12 and 1 every day. So if you happen to find yourself driving or not knowing what to do with yourself, I urge you to please tune in. I'd appreciate having at least 2 listeners to the show. But I mention that first because I come from the broadcast environment, and of course, radio is my first love. But I also happen to co-host the most popular breakfast show not only in South Africa, but in all of the SADC region, called Morning Live on SABC2 and SABC News Channel. So that's where I'm from, and I must tell you, I actually had to write my name down because you won't believe, sometimes we even forget what our names are when we're standing up here. So thank you so much for coming out, welcome. I'm absolutely honored to be the program director here this morning, and also, you know, it gives me great pleasure to welcome each and every one of you here on behalf of our host this morning to what is going to be a very exciting, a very critical, but I also say a very visionary launch this morning. And this, of course, is done by Higher Health, and it's the Civic Education and Health Skills Program. Now, on behalf of our hosts, I wish to acknowledge the esteemed presence of the following people. The Honorable Minister of Higher Education and Training, Science and Innovation, Dr. Bonginkosi Blade Nzimande. Also with us this morning, the CEO of Higher Health, Professor Ramnik Aluwalia. Chairperson of the Tshwane North College, Professor Pendla, and the Principal of the College, Ms. Tsibugo. The CEO and board members of Health and Welfare SETA, the CEO and board members of the Quality Council for Trades and Occupation SETA, all senior government officials present here this morning, vice chancellors of various institutions, university officials who've also come out here, principals and representatives of TVET and community colleges present, presidents and officials of student representative bodies are also with us. And I got you, Amandla. And of course, senior United Nations agencies. I believe we have some officials here with us this morning as well. And all other stakeholders. If I have omitted anybody, please, I beg your forgiveness. It is not deliberate. Everybody is welcomed. All other stakeholders here in the main hall. We also have 2 spillover marquees and also people joining us virtually for this particular program. So welcome, everybody. So we are here, as I'd indicated, for a very, very important event. And I think the turnout here, we have 2 full marquees and people joining virtually. And I think that in and of itself says something about what is going to happen here today. So we're here for the launch of the National Civic Education and Health Skills Program. And this, of course, critical in a country like ours, where we boast one of, if not the most liberal constitution in the world. And with that, of course, comes a plethora of rights that the Constitution confers on each and every one of its citizens and visitors to our nation. But what we often forget to talk about is the responsibility part of that. And I think this is where civic education literally comes into its own. Because our responsibility is not just to vote as citizens. You see, it's very easy to play the blame game. We vote, people are elected, we have these leaders, they mess up, and it's easy to point the finger. But what about us and our responsibility in this whole democracy. And this is something that very often we don't talk about, and which is why I was actually very excited when Professor Aluwalia called to have a discussion about this program, because myself, I am all about nation building. And I've been an activist as a teenager and had death threats, had to leave home because of that. So, you know, we all, through the various generations, go through these periods where we have to do our bit to ensure that the nation state and the democracy that we have is what we want it to be. So very excited about what we are about to learn this morning about civic education and, of course, the health skills program, because it encompasses a little bit more than that, and we'll hear about that later on in the program. So also just, you know, looking at our responsibilities as people. There's a book by Professor Peter Levine. So he is one of the foremost scholars in the US on civic engagement. And what I love about this book is its title. It is so simple. 4 words. What should we do? And it comes to a point where we can talk about the rights, we can talk about the responsibilities, but very often we don't get to a point where we find solutions to what it is that we are grappling with. So what should we do? And today's program is going to go quite a way in trying to help us address some of these aspects. And then also looking at institutions of higher learning. And the reality is that when we look at our curricula, they don't necessarily focus on the civic aspect of what we are teaching. You know, we teach about everything else, the pedagogy, whatever else you need to go through, but we don't focus on the civic aspect of it. And this, of course, is critical in trying to promote active citizenry in any country. So perhaps, you know, we need to think a little bit more about this, and also the role of civic actors and how they actually get to play that out in society. So I've got quite a lot to say, but I'll park it for there because we know that there's quite a lot that still needs to happen. We have a whole list of speakers, but let's start the program this morning. And I just want to say to all the speakers, you will forgive me, but when you see me approaching to your right or to your left, whichever side, that means your time is up. So I'm going to ask all of us to please keep it short, sharp, because we need to run through the program. We have some of our guests who have other commitments as well. So we will, of course, get to the minister and the keynote address after we've basically laid the foundation by listening and hearing more about the program itself that we are launching today. So let me start by asking everyone to please rise. And this is where it starts, you know, the pride of the nation and the singing of the national anthem as we open in the prayer that is our national anthem. Okay, we have the Tshwane North TVET College students who will then lead us in song and prayer. Thank you so much, the Tshwane North TVET College students. And the thing about our anthem is that you almost feel every time you hear, or when you come to the end of our anthem, you want to applaud. There's just something about our anthem that, elicits that in us. And I think that's the beauty of it. And we're the only anthem that has a remix in it as well. So I am now going to call to the stage our host, as in the host venue, and hosting us by allowing us the space and taking care of us so generously this morning. Professor T. Pendler is the chairperson of the Tshwane North TVET College. Professor?
Ndora Pesa. I'm too tall, so someone needs to come and help me with this thing. They don't understand Ndora Pesa. Ndima Cheroni. Absheni. Dumelang. Sanbonani. Molweni. Dumelang. Mangwanani. Huyemore. A very good morning to all of you. I thought you were South Africans. I mean, Mangwanani means good morning in Shona. Program Director, Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, fellow council members of TVET colleges, the president of the TVCGC and the entire leadership, the chairperson and deputy chairperson of Higher Health, the CEO and the entire leadership of Higher Health, the CEO and the entire leadership from Health and Welfare SETA, the CEO and entire leadership of QCTO, the Director General and Deputy DGs of the Department of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, regional managers, the leadership of universities, South Africa, the President of SUBCO and the entire leadership, TVETs and CET principals and deputy principals, school principals, community leaders, the student community, all private and public stakeholders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished guests, let me welcome you to this momentous occasion as we gather here today to mark the launch of Higher Health NQF Level 5 National Civic Education and Health Skill Qualification. Teach 1, Teach 10. We are honored to have you join us as we not only celebrate this groundbreaking program, but also reflect on the ideals embodied by Nelson Mandela during this Mandela Month. In the same vein, we are privileged to have the presence of the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Honorable Dr. Blade Nzimande, who will be inaugurating this Higher Health groundbreaking National Civic Education and Health Skill Program. The Higher Health could not have introduced this transformative civic education and health skill qualification on any other month than this July, because the program not only aligns with Mandela's vision for a just and equitable society, but also embodies his belief in the power of education as a catalyst for change. As we commemorate Nelson Mandela, a visionary leader, an advocate for social justice, we are also reminded of his unwavering commitment to civic education, health, and the betterment of society. Dr. Robert Mays of the University of Cape Town, in his 2012 paper titled Civic Education in South Africa's First Post-Apartheid Generation, attests that the education system excludes civic education And this is a contributing factor to the creation of rebellious youth. The absence of civic education in academic institutions has a detrimental impact on the future of the country, as the uninformed youth have scant knowledge of how to implement democracy and thus perform acts of vandalism each time they voice their concern. Through this co-curriculum, Higher Health empowers our students to become active and engaged citizens, equipped with the knowledge and skills necessary to address the pressing issues of our time. The modules within this program, covering topics such as civic education, gender-based violence, mental health, disability, comprehensive sexuality education and reproductive health, alcohol and substance abuse, addiction and prevention, physical well-being, and it serves to develop resilience and foster a deep understanding of the challenges facing our communities. Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." In this context, our civic education and health skill qualification not only imparts knowledge, but also cultivates a sense of responsibility and compassion within our students. It encourages them to extend their learning beyond the classroom, reaching out to 10 others in their communities and sharing their knowledge, just as Mandela advocated. As we embrace the values of civic education and health, let us take a moment to reflect on the broader impacts of this program on society. By equipping our students with essential skills, we are nurturing a generation of change agents who will contribute positively to their communities and uphold the ideals of Mandela. These qualifications not only develop soft skills that are highly valued by employers, but also fosters resilience, empathy, and a commitment to social justice. Moreover, as we commemorate Mandela Day, Mandela Month, we must recognize the significance of civic education and health in addressing the challenges we face today. The global pandemic has reminded us of the critical importance of health literacy, responsible actions in a pandemic, and caring for our physical and mental well-being. The civic education and health skill qualification equips our students with the necessary tools to navigate these challenges, empowering them to advocate for health and agents of change within their communities. In conclusion, let us celebrate the launch of Higher Health, Civic Education and Health Qualification while remembering Mandela's enduring legacy and his belief in the power of education, compassion, responsible and actively engaged citizens. Thank you all for gracing this occasion with your presence and for your commitment to the betterment of our nation's youth. Here is to a successful launch and a promising future ahead. May this program inspire us all to continue Mandela's work, creating a society where individual is empowered with knowledge, health, and the capacity to make a positive difference. We as Tshwane North Tibet College are indeed privileged to host the national launch of this groundbreaking program. On behalf of Tshwane North Tibet College Council, management, staff, students, and our partners, we welcome you all and wish you the very best as we all embark on this transformative journey together. Ndiaribuwa Program Director.
Thank you so much, Professor Pendla. And, Professor talks about a commitment to social justice and living the values of probably the greatest statesman to have walked this earth, and we were privileged to have him as our president, Tata Nelson Mandela. But that commitment to social justice cannot and should not ever only be in speech and rhetoric. We actually need to commit to making sure that everybody has justice in whichever forms they seek it, and it accrues to them. And also, you know, we should not, in remembering Madiba, only remember the sanitized version of him, or the version of him that we want to remember. We should not forget the militant Madiba, who was anxious and wanted to see change in this country. We shouldn't forget that when the youth agitate for change, you know, it comes with the territory. We've all been there, and we shouldn't shoot them down. We ought to listen, and we ought to try and find each other in order to find solutions so that we can move forward collectively. And speaking of, you know, collectives, for anything to succeed, for us to actually make any sort of meaningful inroads around civic education, and for it to be meaningful, because it has to succeed, because you cannot have a successful democracy without it. So in order for that to succeed, we also need to focus our collective attention on what is important. So with that said, and to give us now, you know, a look and a breakdown at exactly what the reason is for our presence here this morning, please help me welcome the CEO of Higher Health, Professor Ramnik Ahluwalia, and he's now going to talk to us and walk us through the National Civic Education and Health Skills Program. Professor Ahluwalia.
Greetings to the Program Director. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for embracing this. For me, it's a momentous event. We spent so many years building this. And for us, it's like a day, a D-Day, you know, a destination day where you're launching this eventually in front of you. And nothing better than to have our minister. Whatever I present to you has been his vision. He has spoken to me for hours on what we should be doing as a nation, what we should build our citizens, we should build our students. And I think what is cumulatively together for me to present to you is to launch this beautiful piece that we hope will transform South Africa. Let me share this and make you decide whether can this be possible. And this is a vision of our minister, which I am very honored to present in front of you. Colleagues, I want to acknowledge everyone, but I think Sakina and the professor has, the chairperson has done a fantastic job, so all protocols observed. My main aim was to acknowledge our minister, and I've done that. I'll go shoot into the presentation to save time and to present to you what we are launching today. We are launching a co-curriculum called the National Civic Education and Health Skills Qualification today. I'm very grateful to QCTO and SETA as my left and right hand to make this possible today, which I will speak further. This is launched, Minister, to the entire country, focusing predominantly on our community education and training colleges, because this is built for the communities. So Tembisa, thank you for taking this vision to the next level. And we are joined by 200 CET lecturers who will be the first participants as the beneficiaries that will join today with our minister to launch when they enroll into this curriculum. Equally, all public TVET colleges and all public universities. Our vision is to extend it to the private higher education, to SETA beneficiaries, to everybody in the post-school education, and I will show you how. Next slide. This is the mandate of higher health. This is the vision we are launching. Why? If 1 in 3 young women in South Africa are sexually violated before the age of 21, there is something wrong in this country. If 1 in 5 young people in South Africa, as per WHO, are suffering with mental health, and that becomes 1 in 4 in higher education, there's something seriously going wrong. This is 1/5 of our economy. If 1/3 of our young women become pregnant on campus, we have a challenge, and only 10% come back to education. Sexual reproductive health, comprehensive sexuality education becomes predominant. Let me not say much about HIV. We probably have suffered the most in the world on this pandemic. 8 million people, and it's a young man's problem, young people's problem. Gender diversity, 5% of our population is gender diverse. Probably more intelligent Homo sapiens sapiens than we are Homo sapiens sapiens in general. One of the best population, and we don't let them graduate. Only 30% of them graduate because of stigma we create. Drugs and alcohol, the mother of all. 62% of our students abuse drugs and alcohol every month. There's something wrong. And 65% of our GBV is because of drugs and alcohol. Minister says disability. He's absolutely right. 7.7% of our population becomes disabled. Students living with disability are not qualifying. They're not even entering higher education. We need to change. That's our economy. That's the hope of a mother, hope of a child. But everything I've spoken ends up into one thing that our minister says correctly: civic education. Build a good citizen, all these challenges will fall. These are all intersectional challenges. Intersectional social, health, civic issues. It needs civic education. So what did we launch today? Next slide. And thank you to Elaine and your chairperson of the commit board, Vijay, QCTO and SETA for really believing in us. And Minister, we're breaking the isolation of working in separate entities. We are the same entities of the same department. We need to work together, and we're breaking this silence. We're working together. The three of us hands together and launched this qualification, a credit bearing equivalent to NQF Level 5, which is a higher certificate in South Africa. Next slide. The first module we are launching is civic education, saving our democracy. Why should young people vote in South Africa? All the hard work of 30 years before what we achieved will collapse if the people do not go out to vote. What does it mean for our flag? What does it mean for our national anthem? Every line, what it applies to us: constitution, human rights, peer education, patriotism, volunteerism. These are the sub-modules of good citizenship, civic education. Module 2, gender. Gender-based violence, transforming mentality, addressing toxic masculinities, gender equality, gender diversity. Module 3, mental health. Module 4, disability. Module 5, comprehensive sexuality education for young people. Module 6, drugs and alcohol, addiction, abuse, physical well-being, resilience in the young people. And coming soon, we are going to launch with this curriculum accredited climate change. If you ask me, our human survival is dependent on climate change. We'll all won't survive as humans. This needs to be embedded in young people in the foundation phases. Next slide. So why is this course different? First, we have built it with a participatory pedagogy, which means teaching others. There's nothing better than teaching others. You know, I'm talking to you, I'm teaching you, I'm learning it. Science shows that you learn better by teaching others. So this module, you cannot complete this curriculum or qualification without not doing community service. Our slogan is, each one teach 10. Each one teach 10. Each young South African student in post-school education needs to teach 10 people in the community. We are a power union of 2.5 million South Africans in post-school education under our minister. We can change 25 million people in the community in South Africa. That's the role of higher education. Community engagement, teaching and learning, research and innovation. This is community engagement. we will change South Africa through our own post-school education. Nothing better than educated South Africans teaching our communities. Go teach parents, relatives, friends, neighbors, but outside higher education. So each one teach 10. And that's how you teach, you will learn. Next slide. The Minister, the most important part of this qualification is graduate attributes, 10 soft skills. Busa is here, private sector, public sector, the workforce. You know, when I'm an employer and I sit in an interview, I look for an attitude of a person, then a skill. I say skill is done, attitude. If I find the attitude, I employ the person. You're all employers, you will ask me. People in the marquee will also reflect into it. The graduates needs to be built with graduate attributes. Our curriculum specializes in all the 10 soft skills, starting with counseling, active and empathetic listening. You cannot do that, you cannot be a good citizen. Civic responsibility, conflict resolution, creativity, decision-making, digital literacy, presentation skills, public speaking, teamwork, time management. These are required for a resilience to be built in the next citizen of our country, graduates. Next slide. So do we launch what? An NQF Level 5. Thank you, QCTO. The first in African continent, globally renowned, the first quality assured. I've checked the entire world, and I really pray we become a center for excellence. We're really working with UNESCO on this matter. A quality assured. So this is the first ever quality assured civic education curriculum in the world, even curriculum on gender, on mental health. Credit bearing, it carries 30 credits, 300 notional hours, 90 hours of only learning time, 210 hours of teaching others, community service. It is launched in all 12 official languages, 11 plus the sign language. So you can do it in Zulu, you can do it in Isotho, you can do it in Afrikaans, you can do it in English, you can do it in every language in South Africa. The first ever curriculum in all 12 languages. It can be... You can access this on your smartphone. You can do it 24/7. You can think about it 6 o'clock to today. I'll finish my sub-module on saving our democracy. Complete that sub-module. Tomorrow I will do the curriculum on transforming mentality. I'll finish it off. And do the exam there and then, because you can even write the exam on a Sunday from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock and you finish. Simple multiple choice questions. Simple match the following. But the aim is to you to qualify this. But the aim is only by teaching others. So each one teach 10. And the most important part, and thanks to QCTO, any student in post-school education, you don't need to be NQF Level 4. You are in a community college, you're in a TVET college, as long as you're registered, you automatically get registered into this curriculum. So it is open for our communities. It's for nation building. So it is not just for an NQF Level 4 or a matriculant. It is for every South African to do this. Next slide. And it is written at a basic literacy level. Next slide. What do we give to South Africa? We give today building good citizens in the next generation of workforce. We're building the 10 soft skills to complement the hard skills that our institutions work very hard to build. Plumbing, mining, engineering, electrical, medicine, but soft skills along with them. Building resilience among young people in the foundation phase. You know, I'm a parent, my child is going to go to a higher education, I'm worried. My daughter is going to go, I'm worried. Because will they have the resilience? Will they commit suicide? Will they be sexually violated? Will they be sex for marks? Will they be sex for education? I need to build resilience. We need to build resilience. So first year, foundation phase, we will build graduate. They'll get NQF 5 in the first year alone. This will make their CVs look sexy. First itself. NQF 5 done, community service, and you have this. And I'm glad to see Dr. Chalufu here. It has to be through student support service, Dr. Chalufu. This is student support, you know, the biggest. And we are going to build social entrepreneurship. I'm a medical doctor. I'm passionate about this. I left practice, and I'm doing this. I changed my career. I have a job employability, alternative job employability. So this qualification gives you job or alternative employability. You don't want to be an engineer, it's okay. You realize suddenly in the third year, 30% of jobs in South Africa are in NGO jobs. Become a social entrepreneurial and get jobs, build jobs. It is cost effective. Those days are gone when we can bring everybody together, pay for a trainer, put a skills training. On your phone, next to you, you will get this at the most cheapest possible way, because you don't have to pay travels, expensive expenditure of qualification, the most cheapest way to get a qualification to young people. It is the only quality assured. We are appealing to the sector, your private accommodation people, people who are in wardens, residents, student support services, people who are working in campus security, private security, they must do this curriculum so that they can look after the youth. It is quality assured. It can be done on your phone. You have a certificate. You do this gender certificate. You have done GBV. You can be a private security and show it to the principal of the college that I can work in your department. So safeguard our children. It's quality assured. But the most important, it's for the community. Each one, teach 10. Can 2.5 million South Africans change 25 million people in our community through this, through community service? And every student should do community service. Simple curriculum, teach others, get your qualification. I would like to show the video. I hope, Minister, I could not do justice yesterday, and I hope you could see. I would like to show you some sub-modules. We have chosen isiZulu as a language, English, so that you can see that it's in 12 languages. You can see sign language. I wanted you to experience what a student will learn when you go into the curriculum, how you will teach. They're small. I've picked up 4 sub-modules, but please have a look at the first sub-module. It's a start, the introductory one. I had a sabotage yesterday. Fingers crossed, guys. Worked hard on this. Thank you. Please, can we have the volume, please? It's a virtual classroom.
This online course equips you with essential skills in peer education. Accredited and flexible, it can be completed in an academic year or just 6 months. NQF Level 5, 30 credits, and 300 notional hours await you. With 6 comprehensive modules and interactive online learning, this course is inclusive for all PSET students and lecturers. Dive into civic engagement and peer education. Tackle gender-based violence and equality. Explore mental health challenges. Promote disability understanding. Prevent communicable diseases. And address alcohol and substance abuse while building resilience. Coming soon. Module 7 focuses on climate change, indigenous knowledge, and environmental health. Assess your progress with practical interactions, group projects, risk assessments, module tests, an online examination, and a final integrated summative assessment task. All you need is an email address, a device with internet connectivity, and data to access the course. Enroll in the Higher Health Civic and Health Peer Education Skills Program and empower communities, promote health, and create a brighter future. Together, we'll make a difference.
Our next curriculum that we're going to show you, a sub-module, is what the students will learn. And we chose in civic education, Saving Our Democracy. Please, can we play Saving Our Democracy?
Sawubona. Namuhla sizogxila esihlokweni esibalulekile. Kungani kubalulekile ukuvota okhethweni? Kungani ucabanga ukuthi kubalulekile? Akuyi nje ngepolitiki yezwe, lokhu kungasebenza kunoma yiluphi ukhetho ezikhungweni zemfundo, ezindaweni esihlala kuzo noma ezweni. Ivoti nevoti olifakayo liyindlela yokusebenzisa amandla akho, ukuziphendulela kwakho nelungelo lakho njengesakhamuzi. Uma uvota, uhlanganyela neningi ekwakheni umphakathi. Ukhetha abaholi okholelwa ukuthi bazomela izidingo zakho kusukela emkhandlwini wabafundi kuye kuhulumeni wezindawo nangale kwawo. Khumbula, kunabantu abalwela ilungelo lakho lokuvota. Uma uvota, uhlonipha ukukhandleka kwabo nokuzinukela kwabo. Kungani ke kumele uvote? Ngoba ivoti lakho liyiphimbo lakho. Yindlela yokukhombisa ukuthi ukhathalela ukubuswa kwezwe lakho nokuvikela ilungelo lakho. Ake sibuke imibuzo engicabanga ukuthi usuke wazibuza yona ngokuvota. Akuzukungisiza ngalutho ukuvota. Angazi ukuthi ingivotele bani. Kungani kumele ngivote? Ngichitha nje isikhathi. Ivoti lami linye alizukwenza mehluko. Ukuvota akunasasasa. Ngeke ngivote ngoba ngifunda kude. Ngixakekile kakhulu ukuthi ngingavota. Anginandaba ngepolitiki. Ngabe kuzwakala njengento oyaziyo. Sizobhekana ngqo nalezi ngasinye. Ngabe ucabanga ukuthi ukuvota kwakho ngeke kwenze umehluko? Khumbula ukuthi ivoti nevoti libalulekile. Elinye nelinye ivoti longeza kwimiphumela yokhetho. Kweyokungazi ukuthi uvotela bani, thatha isikhathi ufunde ngabantu abaqokelwe izikhundla, funda nangemigomo yabo nezinto abakholelwa kuzona. Yilapho ke ozokwazi ukuthi obani abahambisana naloko okholelwa kukho. Ngabe ucabanga ukuthi ukuvota kuwuchitha isikhathi? Cabanga ngalokhu, isinqumo ezizokwenziwa ngabakhethiweyo zizoba neqhaza kwindlela yakho yokuphila. Ngabe lokho akufanelwe ukuthi uthathe isikhashana sakho ngakho. Kulabo abathi ivoti lami lilodwa angeke lenze umehluko otheni, khumbula ushintsho olukhulu luqala luluncane. Ivoti lakho liyingxenye yeningi. Uma ucabanga ukuthi umnane ukwenza umehluko, cabanga ngomyane ukuthi nakuba umncane kodwa umthelela wawo mkhulu. Ngabe uthola ukuvota kungenasasasa? Kwenze kube nesasasa. Hamba nabangane bakho. Nibungazele ukuba novo kwikusasa lenu. Ucabanga ukuthi ngeke uvote ngoba ufunda kude. Amazwe amaningi aseyavumela ukuvota ungekho ezweni lakini, kungaba ngeposi noma ziyanikhathalela. Imithetho nemigomo ebekwa ngabasemagunyeni zizonithinta nakuba nizikhathalele noma ningenandaba nazo. Ngakho-ke asiqhebeke kulolu hambo, sisafunda, sixoxisana ukuze siqonde ngokubaluleka kokuba yizakhamuzi ezibambe iqhaza. Khumbula njalo, ivoti lakho libalulekile, nawe futhi ubalulekile.
And something which is very close to our minister's heart, transforming mentalities, a sub-module in the gender curriculum. In English.
Welcome to Transforming Mentalities, Breaking Gender Barriers and Promoting Equality. Today, we explore how men and boys are reshaping societal norms to create a world of equality. Including men and boys in the fight against gender-based violence is crucial. They are not only the problem, but an integral part of the solution. It's time for you to have your say. Join a discussion forum and share your thoughts. A groundbreaking report titled Transforming Mentalities, Gender Equality and Masculinities in India sheds light on the transformative power of gender equality. Taking inspiration from the UNESCO initiative, South Africa's Minister Nzimande is leading the launch of the Transforming Mentality program, tailored to the South African context with a specific focus on the PSET sector. This program aims to address toxic masculinity, gender inequality, and women's emancipation. Minister Nzimande emphasizes that gender equality, women's emancipation, and the fight against gender-based violence and femicide cannot be won without the support of boys and men. It is essential to work with men and boys in all communities to reshape harmful stereotypes and pave the way for a safer and more equal future. Toxic masculinity perpetuates harmful norms and behaviors. Men and boys can counter it by developing empathy, compassion, and healthy relationships based on respect and consent. By mobilizing men and boys, we can create a future free from biases, violence, and discrimination. Join the conversation, challenge harmful norms, and support the Transforming Mentalities program. Mobilizing men and boys to champion a world free of biases, stereotypes, violence, and discrimination is the ultimate goal of the Transforming Mentalities initiative in the PSET sector. This collective effort makes a significant contribution towards achieving gender equality. Join us and be the change. Together, we can create a future where everyone can live in safety and respect.
All what we are doing is picking up small clips of the curriculum. It's a very interactive curriculum, simple curriculum. You can see how simple it is. And you have to ask simple questions on your own self and do this. The last one on dealing with anxiety and depression, specifically for academic stress and issues that our children face in our institutions.
Depression is a common but serious illness that affects millions of people worldwide. It is essential to recognize the signs and symptoms of depression and seek help if needed. Left untreated, depression can have severe consequences, including the risk of suicide. Depression is often caused by a combination of factors, leading to a chemical imbalance in our brains. This imbalance affects our mood, thoughts, and overall well-being. When experiencing depression, everyday tasks can become incredibly challenging. If you or someone you know is struggling with depression, you may notice several common signs and symptoms. These symptoms may include lack of interest and pleasure in daily activities, unexplained weight loss or gain, sleep disturbances, either insomnia or excessive sleeping, persistent lack of energy or fatigue, difficulty concentrating and maintaining focus, feelings of worthlessness and guilt, recurring thoughts. You are not alone in your battle against depression. Reach out for help, and together, we can overcome the challenges and find hope for a brighter future. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please reach out to a helpline or mental health professional. Please call the Higher Health 24-hour crisis helpline 0800 363636.
So, like this are built the 6 modules, and of course the climate change. Very interactive, basic literacy, and building our nation. Minister, we always worried about that such a curriculum will reach 2 million South Africans. People will know and aware about their own health, and that there will be, where is the help then? If young women comes out and says that I am suffering with GBV, and where should I go for help? I just want to inform everyone that Higher Health last year had 850,000 beneficiaries from our all across our PSET who came out and through Higher Health got connected with some kind of support, whether it's through a test, whether through mechanisms of contraceptive programs, whether through a psychologist, whether through a social worker. And this curriculum is now integrated with the entire back-end support structure, which means every South African student, once he or she, after doing this curriculum, feels she or she needs help, that help is now available. And that this curriculum will guide you where is the help available, how to get access to help. The aim is, colleagues, to change South Africa. You can see 730,000 young South Africans are beneficiaries of the old existent Higher Health curriculum already, which was never a qualification, but was run on a face-to-face basis. Already 867,000 students are taking help through Higher Health. So change can happen. Where we only had 200 young women reporting GBV in South Africa in higher education, despite we knew 10% of total cases reported of GBV comes from higher education, over 6,000 young women last year raised their voice with Higher Health and sought help for things that are happening in their life. We lost few young women because we could not intervene, but there are many more who are now voicing out and seeking help. So this way, a human life can be saved. A South Africa can change, and your children, our children, will have a new future in this country. So please help us. With that note, thank you for listening to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think if you are nearly as enthused about that as I am, I would like you to please stand up and give another warm round of applause to Professor Ramnik Ahluwalia and the team that have helped him come up with this. Thank you so much, because I think this is so important from so many perspectives, and you look at all the touch points there. You know, we talk about soft skills, and I'm so happy you touch on soft skills, Professor Ahluwalia, because many of us struggle. You know, many years ago, 10 years, 15, 20 years was a generation gap. Now, 5 years is a generation gap. We don't understand each other. We have difficulty, you know, interacting. We have difficulty working together, and especially young people, and I'm glad that they are going to have an opportunity to also look at the soft skills side of things, because very often we have young people coming out of higher learning institutions saying, I have a qualification and therefore I am entitled to A, B, C, D. And unfortunately, the world doesn't work like that. And I'm very excited for what this will potentially do for trying to help that interface and that engagement between the generations. I was speaking to a friend of mine last week, and he has a small company, but he was saying to me that of the young people that he employs, he has actually dismissed 90% of them. Not because they can't do the job, but because they are literally struggling with the interaction. So there's a problem there. We know there's a problem, but what are we doing about it? And I'm glad that perhaps we will now have an opportunity to look at that. So the soft skills are as important as the academic knowledge and the hard skills that we have. And we live this every day. You go to the supermarket, doesn't it irritate you that you're standing in front of someone and she's chewing away and, hey, Tembi, this happened, like, I'm here. I'm the client. You know, show me some respect. But this is a lack of soft skills. You know, not knowing how to engage with someone when they enter your establishment. We talk, Minister, about Batupili. Where? When we go to, spaces, especially government spaces, people behave as if they are doing you a favor by doing their jobs. And a lot of that, from the very onset, it starts with when you set foot in a place. When you walk into any space, the very first thing you see, which is, of course, the aesthetic, the facade, that tells you everything right there, what you need to know about this place. When you walk in and things are falling apart, it tells you what's going on in there. You don't have to ask. And these are the realities of things that we need to contend with, that we know, but for some reason, I think we all got so preoccupied with life and living and making it that we've forgotten about these things. So thanks again to Higher Learning, Professor Aluwalia, and everybody else who's going to be involved in basically cascading all of these skills so that we make this country a better place. And also very progressively, the 12 languages. So President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday, of course, signing off and making sign language our 12th official language as a country. But do you know that 80% of people who are deaf and hard of hearing are unemployed? So what is supposed to happen with them as members of society? So I'm glad that the curriculum also focuses on some of those subplots, the topics that we need to engage in. Because, again, we know the problems, but we've become so despondent as a people. We've lost hope. And it's time to try and pull ourselves back towards ourselves. You know, we talk about drug and alcohol abuse. And that scourge doesn't only affect the addicts, it affects everybody in the family. There's this friend of mine, and I bump into her. This is a well-off family. You know, they've always been very hardworking, very wealthy, and I bump into her and I ask her, so I haven't seen you in a while, where are you from? She says, well, I've just been trying to survive. It's hell. So what's going on? So it turns out her son, unfortunately, also fell prey to drug abuse, and he became an addict. Started selling off everything in the house, up to the plasma screen TVs. Whatever he could carry out of the house, he carried out of the house. And on the day when I met her, she was coming from court. And I asked her, so what happened? Turns out she was kidnapped. And she was then, the kidnappers took her and they got her to withdraw money. But then the husband noticed these withdrawals and he thought there was something untoward. And indeed there was, got the authorities involved, and they arrested the perpetrators. But then it turns out they were sent by the son to kidnap his mother to get the money. So we are all suffering to some degree or another if there is a drug addict in the house, if we cannot put food on the table, because that leads to depression, one of the others. You know, we really need to find hope as a nation because we are going through a lot. I lost a daughter. My daughter suffered from depression. And I wish that I had known then what I know now about depression. I beg your pardon and your indulgence, but my daughter used to say to me, "Mommy, there's something that doesn't want me to be happy." And then that progressed to a point where she started to find fault with herself. And all the while, I would try to reassure. I would try and reach out to professionals, and I would try and say to her, "You know, Baba, you are the most beautiful girl." But she couldn't see herself. And this is why I'm very passionate about young people and trying to help them and assist them, which is why I say we should always try to see them and hear them, because many students are committing suicide as you and I are seated here speaking for various reasons. And it may be an irritant at some point for some of us, but for the person who's suffering from depression, it is real. And Minister, I'm going to implore you that I know you do, at least whenever I call you, you listen to me when I speak to you. The NSFAS thing. It's very serious. And I need you guys to listen to me as well, because we need to find an amicable way to resolve this. So it's very serious, Minister, in that there are children who will most probably try and commit suicide over this because they are now excluded. But we need to go back to the drawing board because, and I think we need to understand that there's a problem here with the model. The model should never have excluded any child, Minister. And this is something that it's not just Minister Nzimande, it includes the Treasury, everybody. You know, it's a collective effort, but we need to sit around the table as a nation and make sure when we say free higher education, it is universal. No child should be excluded. Of course, government will tell us they don't have the money. And these are some of the realities. But that, I just want to say, we need to find ways to engage one another respectfully and try to come to a solution. What should we do? That question. Shouting at each other is not going to solve the problem. But I hope that we hear each other and we're going to learn those soft skills so that we respect one another and address these issues respectfully. So with that said, apologies to my bosses who brought me here this morning. But I just needed to get that off my chest. We are now going to move forward with the program, and we are going to basically move on to a student, hear from a student who's actually already been a beneficiary of this particular program. So Musa, I don't know where Musa is, I saw him earlier. Musa, if you are here, there you are. Musa Nekweva is a student beneficiary of this, and we're going to hear from him now how this has impacted his life.
Is it still morning? Oh, yes. Good morning, everybody, prestigious guest. Before I get into my speech, I just felt very endowed to apprise the people that we are here for, to actually make sure that they are aware that we are here because of them. And then I'm talking about the same students in which Program Director Sikana was expressing the gratitude towards in terms of not being able to further get any assistance in any regard. I'm very happy to hear that the back there, the student leadership. Student leadership, I just want to say, we are here, and then we are here because we are the ones that need to be here. And because the minister is here, I hope that he also heard whichever progression that does not include us is no progression at all. With that being said, I think we need to it's a bit cold today. So because they normally don't want us to be here, it feels right to say, nobody wanna see us together. Nobody wanna see us together. Nobody, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Let me tell you about the story of my life. My mother was a kitchen girl. Oh, my father was a garden boy. Oh, that's why I'm a peer educator. Oh, let me tell you about the story of my life. My mother was a kitchen girl. Oh, my father was a garden boy. Oh, that's why I'm a peer educator. Thank you very much, leadership. Oh, yes. Formally, so I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and fellow peer educators, today I stand before you with a heart filled with gratitude and excitement as we gather here to acknowledge and appreciate the remarkable efforts made by vital departments of our nation, the Department of Higher Education and Training and Higher Health. They have initiated a groundbreaking program that deserves our utmost recognition, the National Civic Education and Health Program. As peer educators, we understand the value and significance of empowering our fellow students with knowledge and skills that extend beyond the traditional boundaries of education. We recognize that education goes beyond textbooks, lectures. It encompasses holistic development and nurturing of responsible, informed citizens. This new program embodies that very essence. The Civic Education and Health Skills Program, spearheaded by DHED and Higher Health, goes beyond the traditional educational framework. It embraces critical need for comprehensive health education and development of civic awareness and responsibility among students across our nation's higher education institutions. This program, we as peer educators are equipped with the tools and knowledge to address not only academic needs, but also physical, mental, and emotional well-being of our fellow students. We become ambassadors of health, advocates for civic engagement, and agents of positive change within our campuses. This program is a statement to the forward-thinking vision of both DHED and Higher Health. By recognizing the intercoordinations of education and health, they have paved the way for a transformative learning experience. Through this collaboration, we have been given the opportunity to facilitate conversations about vital health topics, including sexual, reproductive health, mental well-being, and substance abuse prevention. Furthermore, the emphasis on civic education ensures that we, as peer educators, are equipped with the knowledge to promote active citizenship, ethical leadership among our peers, encouraging them to become agents of positive change within our society. The impact of this program cannot be underestimated. By nurturing the holistic well-being of our student community, we are paving the way for a healthier, more inclusive, and vibrant higher education environment. The ripple effects of this program will extend far beyond our campuses, influencing the future leaders and change makers of our nation. Today, let us extend our heartfelt appreciation to the Department of Higher Health and Training and Higher Health for unveiling commitment to our well-being and growth. Their investment in our development as peer educators reflects their belief in our power of the youth and the capacity to shape a better future. To my fellow peer educators, I commend each and every one of you for your dedication and passion. Your commitment to well-being of our peers is truly commendable. Let us continue to embrace our roles as catalysts for change and be ambassadors of health, knowledge, and civic responsibility. In conclusion of the speech, as we celebrate the launch of the National Civic and Health Skills Program, let us remain steadfast in our commitment to foreseeing a culture of holistic well-being, informed citizenship, and positive transformation within our higher education institutions and our nation as a whole. With that being said, I hope, Hore, we will soon, rather than later, get more commendable efforts from the Department of Higher Education, along with Higher Health and all other stakeholders that are involved, to at least, if anything, appraise us as students, the people who are in the dire need of everything, to include us in the processes of everything that is made within the collective interest of the students, because you can make a plan for what you think we need, but we know what we need. So we are asking that you include us in all processes so that your need for help is actually a help that is needed by us and not what is thought that we need. Thank you, and let us continue to strive for higher heights together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Musa. And for a moment there, I looked at Dr. Blade Nzimande, because that's a song that I remember you singing. Anyway. Thanks, Musa. And of course, you know, we are in an institution of higher learning, and these spaces are, of course, pivotal in preparing young people for successful and useful participation in democracy and our nation states. Well, moving along, we are now going to call upon Mr. Naidu, and he is the CEO of the Quality Council for Trades and Occupation, because it is only with the help of all of those who come to lend a hand that programs and launches like these are possible. Mr. Naidu.
Thank you, Program Director. I think the Program Director has done well in acknowledging all the dignitaries present. So suffice for me to say all protocols observed. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, today we stand at the cusp of a transformative milestone in South Africa's education and training landscape. Minister, the QCTO has positioned itself as a game changer. And as the game changer, the QCTO is extremely excited and at the same time humbled to be part of the launch of the Civic Education and Health Skills programs in South Africa. This initiative holds immense promise for our youth and our nation as a whole. What stands out is that this program is homegrown, developed in South Africa by Higher Health in collaboration with the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations and the Health and Welfare Sector Education and Training Authority. The Civic Education and Health Skills Program is a testament to the power of collaboration and dedication towards youth empowerment. I want to indicate, Minister, that I think if all of our entities in the DHET can foster such linkages, not only between the entities in the DHET, but across the ministries in our country, then we can fast-track the changes that we so desperately need. The significance of this program cannot be understated. Not only will it equip our students with valuable health skills and knowledge but it will also pave the way for their smooth transition in the job market. The recently launched Occupational Qualification Sub-Framework, which was launched on the 9th of March 2023, and by the way, Minister, which was approved by you in October of 2021, actually allows for the recognition of such skills programs. Achieving an NQF Level 5 occupational skills certificate through this program stands as a beacon of excellence, setting a standard for civic education programs throughout South Africa and indeed the rest of the continent. Minister, the QCTO commits to fully execute its quality assurance mandate in ensuring the credibility of this skills program. The content, as we heard, will be available in all 12 languages, and that is an indication that even in the conception, this is ahead of the curve. Although not first, it is significant also that this program is hosted on an online platform driven by artificial intelligence and digital technology. We remain acutely aware that today we celebrate the launch, but there is much work to be done to ensure the successful implementation of this program. This curriculum will instill the spirit of giving back within our youth. Community service through a peer-to-peer approach will foster a sense of responsibility, create well-rounded individuals who are not just knowledgeable, but also compassionate and empathetic. As the QCTO, we offer our full support to the skills program together with our partners, the SETA and Higher Health. Together, we are shaping a better tomorrow for our youth and indeed our nation. Minister, your ongoing support is invaluable, and we look forward to standing shoulder to shoulder with you and our partners on this journey of empowerment and progress. We look forward to the successful implementation and indeed the certification of the successful students and participants in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Naidu. And for another message of support now from the Health and Welfare SETA, please help me welcome Ms. Brass.
A very good morning to everyone. Actually, it's probably afternoon already. But just to specifically acknowledge our Honourable Minister here today and the HWSETA board members and management and staff. And likewise, the program director has welcomed everyone, so all protocol observed. Any success story begins with a dream. Today, a dream has come true. I remember the many meetings Professor Alawalia and I had while we were talking about the curriculum he wanted to bring to life, to ultimately give life. As the months went on, the vision got bigger. I saw the potential in the curriculum, and I saw Professor's vision. What a mighty vision it was. The HWSETA and Higher Health have had a long-standing, strong relationship and partnership extending over many years, where the physical and mental health of students in university, TVET, and CET colleges were looked after through the many amazing programs of Higher Health. We expanded this partnership during COVID-19 to offer awareness. Just last year, together we supported the well-being of our South African competitors at the World Skills Competition internationally. Our partnership makes sense and strengthens both Higher Health and HWSETA in our individual mandates. But today, we are here supporting Higher Health in the National Civic Education and Health Skills Program, which, by the way, is HWSETA's first registered occupational skills program. The HWC, thank you, we're very excited about that. The HWCTA assisted Higher Health in registering the program with the QCTO as required, and as mentioned, it is a NQF Level 5 skills program. The HWCTA's first commitment to the skills program is its responsibilities as a quality partner in accordance with the delegations to the HWCTA by the QCTO. HWCTA will pledge its promise to quality in the implementation of this program. HWCTA's second commitment is to support the funding of the program as a pilot, where we will fund 5,000 learners across universities, TVET colleges, and CET colleges. Furthermore, the HWCTA will continue to fund the digitization and technical skills relating to this program, most of which has been done already. Education is prevention. Indeed, the impact of the program will reach far more than the learner or person who completes the program. It may in fact be the answer to embedding the education this program seeks to achieve into our communities and families to make our society a better place. It addresses gender-based violence, stress, depression, mental health matters, substance abuse, amongst many others. Many SETAs have also approached me in wanting to support this program. The interest and belief in the program is widespread, with a desperation to make a difference. The HWCTA sees the vision, believes in it, and is so very proud to be a partner to the Higher Health and QCTO in rolling out the program to learners, to campus staff, security on campus, and eventually the workplace too. The envisioned impact of the program will see its sustainability beyond higher education. Honourable Minister, the HWCTA supports the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Ms. Brass. And I hope you're all still comfortable. We are moving swiftly along. So I'm going to welcome back the choir, and they are now going to give us a little interlude, some entertainment as the minister just steps back. And then when we come back, we'll introduce the minister for that keynote address. So ladies and gentlemen, once more, if we'll welcome the choir. Well, thank you so much to the choir. And just before you go, just because of the baritones here, I'm going to donate 5,000 Rand to the choir. I think it's so important that we actually walk the talk. Put your money where your mouth is. You know, we want to divert young people from going down the wrong path, but we've got to assist them. We've got to help them to get to where we want or hope they want to get to. So, you know, really enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. I must just say, suddenly I feel very self-conscious because my teacher is sitting right here. Mr. Nikki Balkrishan. Please stand up, sir. I'm shocked. That was my science teacher. Standard 8 to matric. What is it now? Grade 10 to 12. This man was so dedicated when he came to our school, Stanway Secondary in Standerton. And it must have been a shock to his system coming to this foul Plattelandse dorpie. But there we were. And one of the things Mr. Balkrishan did, he had us going in for Saturday classes from grade 11, so the year before matric. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Balkrishan, I think your lowest was a C in your matric results. So thank you to Mr. Balkrishan and all of you educators here. You know, we are because of you and the work that you do for us. So thanks to everybody. And I hope everybody in the overflow venues, shout out to you. Hope you're still okay there. And of course, everybody joining us virtually as well. We haven't forgotten about you. We get to that point now where the keynote address will be delivered. But let me call on stage the Deputy Director General in the Department of Higher Education and Training, Ms. Thembi Fuchane, to come and welcome the Minister.
The boss has spoken. He says I must keep it very short. It's still morning. Good morning, Honorable Minister, distinguished guests. I acknowledge everyone present here and in the marquee, and also those that have joined us virtually. The Honorable Minister is highly accomplished, as we all know, both academically and politically, and I will keep it short. We could spend a whole day if we were to go through his biography. Dr. Bonginkosi Emmanuel Blade Nzimande was appointed as Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation on the 30th of May 2019. As you all know, he then went on to work at the Department of Transport, also as a minister, from February 2018 to 2019, and he came back to the Department of Higher Education, Science and Innovation with effect from let me just see, my apologies. He was a Minister of Higher Education and Training from 26 May 2014 until 17 October 2017. Please note that he's the chairperson of the South African Communist Party, the former chairperson of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, and also the former deputy chair of the Central Committee of the South African Communist Party, and the former chairperson of the Financial Sector Campaign Coalition. Dr. Nzimande holds a doctorate in philosophy, specializing in sociology from the University of Natal. He is also a published author. He has published quite a number of peer-reviewed journals. He's also authored a book titled Children of Wars, the Impact of Violence on Schooling in Natal, Durban, in the Education Policy Unit. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and the students present here today, please welcome the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Dr. Blade Nzimande.
You may be seated. Thank you very much. My speech just fell, so I must make sure that my pages follow each other. Thank you very much. Program Director, Ms. Sakina Kamwendo, our Deputy Director Generals who are here, from the Department of Higher Education and other departments. Let me also specially recognize Ms. Choki Shabalala, the DDG in the Department of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities in the Presidency, the chairperson of the Tswane North TVET College, Professor Tiziambi Pendla. Let me also recognize our regional managers who are here. CEO of Higher Health, Professor Ramnik Alwalia, CEO of Quality Councils for Trades and Occupations, Mr. Vijayan Naidu, CEO of Health and Welfare SETA, Ms. Elaine Brass, the National Youth Development Agency Chairperson, Ms. Asanda Luaqa, SAUS President, Mr. Lubaba Alonzoia, SAVETA President, Mr. Genius Shabalala, South African College Principals Organizations representatives who are here, representatives from USAF, TVET College Principals, representatives from the UNFPA, UNICEF and UNESCO, student beneficiary Mr. M. Nekweba, civil society organizations, private preset institutions, peer educators and students, and my favorites, the higher health volunteers. Distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so pleased today to be officially launching the Department of Higher Education and Training Civic Education and Health Skills Program. This launch is taking place just 2 days after we celebrated the 105th birthday of our former president, Nelson Mandela, on the 18th of July. Our hero, our first president of our democratic South Africa, a youth activist in his younger days, and a principled and disciplined cadre and leader of our struggle. What makes me so pleased is that Madiba today, we have another opportunity to do like him. We have another opportunity to do what he did. In Madiba's words, he said, and I quote, "It's in our hands to make a difference and to make the world a better place." And he stands as a sterling and example for need for discipline amongst our youth today. Nelson Mandela. This call by Madiba resonates well with us launching this co-curriculum, Professor Alwalia, which is a momentous day for the advancement of education here in South Africa and across the entire African continent. It is indeed a momentous day for our democracy. I want to say to you, Professor Alwalia, together with Health and Welfare SETA and the QCTO, With this program, you are actually setting a wonderful example for the rest of the post-school education and training sector on how to deliver some curriculum. Today, the power of education to change the lives of our people and to contribute to building democratic values is something that is very important. Professor Aluwala has given background to this, but I would like to say a few things about this program myself. The launch of the National Civic Education and Health Skills Program and its accreditation at NQF Level 5 makes this a remarkable achievement for our department, together with higher health and our institutions and government as a whole. I'm pleased to indicate that this is the first time that a civic education skills program has attained a nationally recognized accreditation in our country, and possibly in the continent as a whole. For us to achieve this momentous milestone, Higher Health worked collaboratively with QCTO and the Health and Welfare SETA, which are all entities of the Department of Higher Education and Training. I'm proud to say that. I must say this is also a shining example of what can be achieved when state entities and organs work together for the good of the nation. You know, Prof, I notice, if you look at the professionals, cadres and other activists who are seated here, to me it seems that this program has touched a nerve in our nation in terms of what it is planning to deal with. I haven't been in a meeting with so many different stakeholders in one gathering. Recently. It means this is raising something very fundamental about challenges facing our society. I want to indicate that the curriculum, of course, as Professor Aluwala has said, will be available to everyone. And we urge, especially our young people, but not only youth, also adults, grown-ups, who have energy to register for this program and actually acquire this knowledge that we need. It's one of its kind in the world, and it's been outlined what it's going to deal with. And I want to say, Professor Aluwala, I'm also very pleased that you are going to be adding a module on climate change. Climate change is a reality that is with us, and we should make sure that every South African is aware of some basics about climate change and the challenges that it actually poses. That you are adding this to this program, you have my full support. It's very important. Because also, I am a very firm believer in what I call science literacy. All South Africans should be literate about the basics of science, the very basics. That's how we're going to build a better country. And this program is contributing and is going to contribute a lot to that. Congratulations also. My speech is a little bit outdated, Ishmael. It says, we have our own issues with my speechwriter. He does a great job for me most of the time. It still says it's going to be offered in all 11 languages. No, don't circulate it like this. It's going to be offered in all the 12 official languages. Some of the benefits of this is that it's going to contribute to both voter education, but much more importantly, to civic responsibilities and responsible citizens. You know, one of the challenges in our democracy is that we tend to have sections of our population that just demands all the time. We want, we want, we want. But if you say to them, what responsibility are you going to take to bring a better South Africa? Zilch. We can't build a society of those who are only looking for entitlements but not taking responsibilities. This thing, you know, as Minister of Higher Education, I want to say this. We have NSFAS Program Director, which, by the way, no other developing country in the world has anything that comes next to NSFAS. We pay for your tuition, we pay for your accommodation, we pay for your food, we pay for your transport in some instances, and we give you pocket money every month. No country that you will find, even many of the developing countries, do not do this. But the challenge we face, some of the national NSFAS beneficiaries, they abuse this money. Some of them use it to drink alcohol. And this, I'm calling on our young people, including those student leaders. It's fine to protest about NSFAS, but at the same time, make sure you go and organize among students that there is no abuse of NSFAS money. So this program, I think it's going to contribute towards developing a culture of taking responsibility. Hayi le ndaba yokuthi uyafuna nje njalo wena kuthiwa uzokwenzani awazi ukuthi uzokwenzani. But voting is very important. I don't want us to underestimate this. And I'm not starting to campaign, by the way. If I am talking about voting, blame the professor, not me, and blame this cause. It's very important because increasingly we are noticing that young people are becoming disinterested in voting. And that's not good for the future of our country. That's not good for our democracy. So it's the usefulness of this cause in addressing this issue is very important. But as I say, you vote and take responsibility. You don't vote and sit back. You vote and attend meetings, called by councillors, called by MPs, so that you are able to stand up. And you can't do that and make a contribution if you don't empower yourselves, which is what this program is doing. Another important element of this core curriculum is to address the issue of gender-based violence. I know, honestly, we can't be a society that is proud of itself if we are torturing and imposing violence on 51% of our population, which is women. That is just not on. If there is something that really as a country we have to stand up for, is to fight and defeat the scourge of gender-based violence. Mina, as someone who grew up kwaDambuze Pietermaritzburg, amadoda ashaya abantu besifazane sasewabiza ngeshimane. Why should it be if you approach a woman and she says no, you don't want to believe the no, you try all sorts of things. If a woman is looking for a job, you say, let's start there first before I consider you for a job. I'm glad this program is dealing with this matter because as you have said, Professor Aluwalia, I'm launching this program next month, during Women's Month, to mobilize men in our post-school education and training sector to fight for gender equality and women's emancipation and against gender-based violence. We've done well in affirming women as a country. On the whole, we've really done well. We are amongst top 10 in the countries on many aspects of affirming women. But the battle for gender equality will be incomplete, and the battle against gender-based violence will be incomplete unless we mobilize men to be part of the battle to affirm women. Maybe, DDG, women, we need to also really begin to seriously think that maybe one of the unintended consequences of a good program to affirm women, maybe boys and men are feeling left behind. We have to grapple with that. By saying so, we are not saying we are going to slow down in affirming women. Not at all. But I visited a country called Jamaica, by the way. I found there was affirmative action for men. Because most men in Jamaica, and it's true, they have a challenge that they aren't actively participating in society in so many respects. So it's going to be important that men, in affirming their role, they must understand that they must be part of gender equality. That to affirm women is not wrong, it's correct. It's like racism. You can't fight racism without affirming the black majority in this country. It's just simply impossible. Because we come from a particular society that had excluded the majority. But mobilizing, I'm urging all men who are here today, please join me next month when I launch this campaign that a good man is a man who fights for gender equality and women's emancipation and against gender-based violence. So this battle we won't win unless we bring in men. Many challenges. I don't want to spend my speech talking about them. I don't have much time. But there are other challenges that we are facing in society. The issue of teenage pregnancy, I think, has gone out of hand. In fact, it's no longer just teenage pregnancy, it's child pregnancy. When 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, Minister Motshekga was telling us the other day, have got children, it means our society is just teetering on the brink, to be quite honest. So this cause, I have no doubt, is going to contribute in developing the kind of consciousness that we need. I'm glad Higher Health, because what we are doing also in helping our vision, my vision, we have taken from your experiences in working with wellness matters in the post-school education and training sector and translate it into this program, which actually is something that is very important. Alcohol and drug abuse. Ms. Sakina, you were talking here, you touched me, because I also have someone in the family who is a drug addict, myself. I'm sure there are many here, and these things are killers. Well, firstly, alcohol. Alcohol abuse in our country is too much. That's why I always say South Africa has got its own destiny with alcohol. Because it is being hugely abused. Minister Civic is much stronger than me when he puts it. He says, you have never seen people gathered like we are gathered. Oh yeah, this is Miss Sakina Kamendo, please come forward. Nimbona nje, nje inxa yotshwala. Akekho umuntu okwake kwathiwa you succeeded because of utshwala. None of us. So, but also substance abuse generally. And we must, this program will help us to talk about these things, because sometimes we hide them. If you have a relative who is taking inyaupe or taking cocaine, we tend to hide. Yet we need to talk about these things in order to be able to deal with them. It's very serious, and it's a big problem. People with disabilities, it can't be that we have got such a small population of people with disabilities, but we can't absorb them to be full part of society. We have absolutely no excuse for that. I'm glad this program is also training cadres who are going to be conscious of this particular task that we are actually talking about. There are many other issues relating to health. The issue of mental health, I agree. In fact, as I was sitting listening to you, you took me through this program yesterday, but I'm listening to it again today. You know, it suddenly reminds me, by the way, I tend to forget, that I was trained as a psychologist. And the issue of mental health in South Africa is a big issue. I see Professor Mazubola, who is a social worker, was VC of University of Zululand. She knows very much what I'm talking about. The issue of mental health is a big issue. Usually it goes with societies and communities in distress, the two things. That's why I hope this program will contribute in helping our communities out of distress. I am not, though, as naive not to know that part of taking communities out of distress, we need to grow our economy to create jobs and sustainable livelihoods. So as we do this, we must know that that is part of our task. Now, let me conclude by saying this. We don't have enough social workers. We don't have enough psychologists. We don't have enough medical practitioners. We don't have enough psychiatrists. But what this program for me is doing is that let us be each other's helpers even before we find professional help. It's bridging a very important gap, because even what you were showing there, to be able to talk to somebody else confidently that I have this problem is something, and that person to be able to listen. Because many people suffer because they feel no one is listening to me. That is important. I repeat, let's be each other's helpers even before we get professional help. I want to end by saying, I heard you, program director. By the end of this year, we'll be having a comprehensive student funding model in South Africa. Of course, it will be a mix between NSFAS, which is a free bursary, and those who come from better off families but who can't fully afford, but we will have a loan system so that they can pay back when they work. Because unfortunately, as government, we don't have the money. Also, it would be wrong to pay for my child at university as a minister. It's completely wrong. Why should government be looking after me when I am a minister? If I can't pay now, at least I must have access to a loan. And if I'm a minister, I must pay higher interest rate than someone who is not a minister, and be able to have a sustainable scheme. We want to come up with those things because indeed, We want our students to have certainty so that they succeed. And we want them to be educated, by the way. I hear this thing, Nzimande, you are old now. Go. We don't want someone who is over 60. I don't know where that comes from. Yes, as young people, we must affirm you. But konyo funda. Asifuna ukuphathwa intsha engafundanga. The world today demands that leaders must be educated. Somebody else puts it nicely. Don't try to substitute ideology and leadership with biology. We want to affirm you as young people. We are doing this partly because we want to affirm you. But ngeke niliphathe lelizwe malingafundanga. Sengishilo njengongqongqoshe wezemfundo ephakeme. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Blade Nzimande. And as you know, Minister, I will be calling you so we can engage on this program that you just spoke about for later that's going to come, because I think it is very important. The issue is not NSFAS. The issue is universal access to funding for students. That is the issue. And as you say, if government can in some way perhaps underwrite some loan system, but no child should be denied access to education because they can't pay for it. And therefore, I think with universal access, as you say, Minister, you will work out the modalities such that depending on your profile, government is able to claw back, or the financial institutions are able to claw back that money once you start working. But it is welcome that that is being looked into, because no child should ever have their future tied into their parents' financial health. Never. So I'm looking forward to that discussion, Minister. Watch SABC2 Morning Live, listen to Updated Noon. We'll take this discussion further. Okay, it is now that time where we are now going to witness the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the various stakeholders in whose name we've gathered here today. So let me call on the Minister, as well as our two SETA, the SETA representative, QCTO, as well as, of course, Higher Health, Dr. Ramnik Ahluwalia. So whilst we do that, where's the choir, the baritones? Can they come back? So maybe we can have some entertainment while this process unfolds. And also, Minister, while you're sitting there, and this is an ambush, I declare this up front. And please, when the Minister arrives at your institution or wherever next, you cannot repeat this. Minister, can I raise you to equal my contribution to the choir? Please. I said that I pledge 5,000 to the choir. And I'm asking that between you and I, we make it 10,000.
I'm matching it 5,100 rand.
In this instance, I take it. So 10,100 rand to the choir. I don't know where they are. Baritone's still warming up? That's okay. All right. The chairpersons as well of the SETA, HW SETA, as well as QCTO, the chairpersons also joining us. Thank you so much. And at this point, I think we can commence. The choir is here. Yeah, we're waiting. Enter the baritones. And to the choir, you were outside, you may have missed it, but Minister Nzimande has also pledged another 5,100 Rand. So the signing is just about complete, but maybe you can just render, one song, one item for us. The picture, Minister?
Oh, I thought you had taken it. Do we still need another one?
Can we show our MOUs?
Which one is the real camera? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to everyone, and that cements this really visionary program. And I think we find ourselves in a time where we do need visionary leaders in our country, and this is going to go a long ways towards getting us to where we want to go. Choir, I'm going to ask you to park, because let me call the DGG Nolwazi Kasa. And then you guys can just park, and once the DDG is done with the vote of thanks, I think you can just wrap the whole program for us in song. So, DDG?
Thank you very much, Program Director. As has been indicated, my name is Nolwazi Kasa. I would like to wait for the noise a little bit to settle so that my thank yous, especially to our Honorable Minister, come through. Minister, thank you very much for the work that you have always done for our country. You are in the history books of our country, pre-democracy, during democracy, and very much into the future. As my fellow colleague, Prof. Ahulaya, indicated, this is one of your very powerful dreams. And it will have a huge impact not only on the PSAT system, but in communities that we work with and in our institutions. I'd really like to thank the CEO of Higher Health, my dearest brother, for the work that you've done in terms of steering the leadership of taking the minister's vision and putting it into action. And I would really like to thank fellow colleagues, the CEO of the NQF, where's Dr. Vijay? I think he's left for a while, but the CEO of QCTO, thank you very much, and the CEO of the SETA, thank you ever so much, colleagues, for a job very well done. In the main, as the minister has indicated, not only have you achieved the most wonderful feat, you have also set the bar quite high for us to continue to work together across the different stakeholders in the PSAT system and with other institutions to deliver on work that is necessary for our country going forward. Minister, thank you very much for planting the seed, for guiding us, guiding the country, guiding the system, and for always pushing us to do better and do more. Thank you very much to the chairperson of the TVET TCO Council, Madam. Thank you. Thank you to the college for hosting us. This has been a most warm reception for a very unique initiative going forward. I'd also like to thank everyone. As the chairperson or the program director has indicated, I want to thank everyone, and especially first the college, the principal, the council head, and everyone who's made time to attend here. I see fellow DDGs, I see regional managers, program director. Your former teacher is now Dr. Bakshan. So he encouraged us to study more. And I suspect you know that I'm then gonna say, he's giving you a baton to also study more. I would really then like to close up by primarily thanking everyone who has made it here. I see the minister's office. I see fellow colleagues from the Department of Women. I see many people who've taken the time to come and be part of the launch of such a unique program going forward, which will not only be used for our country, but also, be spread to our African continent going forward. I want to thank everyone who's made the time. I want to thank the learners very much and appreciate those who are in the exhibition stands. We appreciate the work that we are doing. I'd also like to thank everyone who's helped in the preparations for this event and making it a success. And last, but definitely not least, I want to thank the choir for entertaining us so beautifully with your young voices. And as you can tell, you've done so well. If there's now a bidding process for pocket money or signs of appreciation to enable your work going forward. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gasa. And this is how we are basically coming to the end of the program. Just one more item, announcements to be made of what's to transpire post this event, because I think there's interviews, media interviews, and some other opportunities. Lunch will be served as well. So let me call on the lady who has all of those details, Ms. Tobegile Finger, if you will please just talk us through that.
Good afternoon, everyone, Minister, and your distinguished guests. Mine is quite quickly. All the interviews for the Minister would be here, and Minister's guest, we're going back to the media room for your lunch, and then all other guests, we're going to the marquee. Students and myself, we are all going to the cafeteria. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Finger. Now, that's how we come to the end. And I must say, I came here with high hopes and I wasn't disappointed. And thank you so much to everybody who worked so hard to put this program together, and also the event today. Thanks to all the speakers and all the other esteemed guests, everybody in this main hall, in the overflow centers who've joined us virtually, business leaders as well, and of course the students. I really appreciate that we were able to pull this through, and I think we all leave here more hopeful than when we came in. And if I had said anything to upset anyone in any way, I beg your forgiveness. Thank you so much for your indulgence. And with that, the choir.
I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
I lost my mom in 2015. She was also raped. So it felt like it is my duty to fight for her more than to fight for what happened to me. So it was a must for me to speak out.
Universities and technical colleges must not mimic what is happening in society. So I, as a Vice-Chancellor, should not be comfortable that rape culture, gender-based violence, femicide is expressed within their university. I should find management systems where we hold each other accountable.
Well, you know, there's a stigma attached to violence generally. We know that there are many that don't come forward, partly because of the stories we heard from the survivors who come forward and not treated well by the police and end up feeling, what's the point? So that's the price we pay as society. You know, when we hide things, when we conceal matters, we don't deal with the issue.
GBV is not a linear pandemic. It's not like any other disease where we have treatments very clear. We can create a vaccine or we can have a medication that we can try to cure an individual. One of the ways to fight this is building a good citizen.
For me, I think it's important to know about the current bills that have been passed into laws. let's make sure that those bills, those laws, those policies are understood by people. So let's popularize them and translate it into all 12, indigenous languages, including sign language.
We have become very tolerant of gender-based violence. I think it just speaks to people's insecurities. People have clearly internalized it to the point that you can kill someone because you feel like they've emasculated you. And I feel like we need to get intolerant regardless of who it is.
My mom in 2015, she was also raped. So it felt like it is my duty to fight for her more than to fight for what happened to me. So it was a must for me to speak out.